All right, Shalom, Israel. Continuation. I said I was going to do a second part, Black Romans 2. And, of course, that's a stigma to this day and a label at black, but they were Israelites. And I even put in black Grecians and it pops up, you know. Greek, the Dark Ages, here's a bust of Greek vessel in the form of a youth licking his lips. Circa 400 BC. And I was reading this information. I'm going to finish. There's some more depictions. It's not because of rust or anything. Greeks and Romans on Egyptians. Not only were ancient Greek and Roman scholars consistently describing the ancient Egyptians as, but like I pulled a scripture when they asked Paul, "Can thou speak as Greek?" And this is not, like I said, not from rust, because you can see around him, and even his eye color is white. So he's a dark-skinned man. Pottery, the body and the gods in ancient Greece. And now I told you a little about Morenos. It says they are also, Morenos were persecuted, comes from Moreno, which means dark skin, were persecuted by the Inquisition and faced social stigma like we do today. Black is a stigma. These groups that come out in behalf of so-called black people, black community, so they can label us different things, man. Black Lives Matter. And that was a joke because it went from that to All Lives Matter, because they trying to integrate into one society, one world order. And that's why, I believe that they did the integration in the first place, and, one world power with them ruling over us. But, the apostles, elders, they'll go into Socrates, and which were Jakes, and of course, the Moors, and what do you call it? The Aristotle, which I think who was his understudy? One of them. I think one of them Greek people, Roman people. I think Da Vinci got taught by Aristotle, which was a so-called black man. And the Greek, they call the Dark Ages. You can see another illustration here. Of a so-called black man. Here you could see them with woolly hair and afro and beards. Right here. And this one too. So we were labeled different things. Morenos, black, Negro, I think used to be a term. Moors, which means dark, black, what have you. Those were labels just like today. So it says Morenos, they were also subject to race blood laws. I looked up blood laws. A definition. I want to go. The law of blood was based on the idea that clan members could avenge the deaths of other incident happening to their kin, and women often made the decision about how those deaths was to be avenged. Um, so I'm sort of guessing that they feel they had a right, a justification to murder the Israelites because of the blood law. Like, look, you're not our people. All right. It says they were also. It said Morenos had a split identity, rejected by both Jews and Christians. They mixed Jewish and Christianity symbols and life patterns. See, and that's the same thing with the Jew and Greek thing. Basically, because hey, we were some things that that's why they practiced secret churches, because when they were going off, a lot of our people going off doing heathen customs. Our people were like, no, we don't do that. We don't practice that. That's not our customs. So they, split. Even going back to the southern and northern kingdom, man. See, all this it parallels. It's a mirror reflecting of our journey through, even through perilous times as Israelites, even in our captivity, joining other religions, joining other groups, for some identity because of disagreement, dissension, whatever. You're like, nah, that don't sound right. So we're gonna go this way. Really, we're all one nation. We're supposed to be all one body, one mind. Like it says in the scriptures, one baptism, one God, one faith. It says Moreno spread to other countries, including Holland. We got brothers in Holland now, and all across the world, where they became wealthy. So, that's some and some not. Just like over here in America, you got some rich black people, some not. You know. So you got people just like Cornelius in the Italian band, and you got people our people in the military. Our people get up real kind of like rubbing shoulders with the enemy, Slovakia. They become congressmen. They become vice presidents. They become what do you call them? Senates, whatever you. And although they just and have some league in the White House where they prominent figures, but not in a way of dominance, especially as a nation. Y'all never let that happen. But so you had that during the time of Egypt. You had that during the Greek captive, Persian, the Medes, Greeks, and so forth. Jake will always shine above these nations, man. And they always take some kind of liking to Jake, even though, they are enemy, and even if they they like our women. That happened with in Judith in the Apocrypha, Judith. They admired her like what's such beauty of a woman is this people? I mean, what people is she from? She was so beautiful. It was like, who is her people? It says Spanish Inquisition. I'll read a little bit about that. The um, tribunal, I think it's pronounced tribunal, or the Holy Office of the Inquisition was established in 1478 by the Catholic monarchs King Ferdinand and the second of Aragon and the Queen Isabella the first of Castile. And we talk about that, and that's right before Christopher Columbus thing because he was funded by them going into 1492. And then it says disbanded. It disbanded in 1834, July the 15th. So, and I had some notes on something else. So, even back then we had certain freedoms and liberties, you know, on some regional basis too, that allowed us to do certain things, just like here. All that we got people on so-called black people in high seats, and they're the ones that kind of promote this liberation and this the opportunity to be successful in this captivity. They give but it's a false narrative, of course. They're not going to let all Israel rise. These celebrities just once had looked up to be idolized, making millions and platinum albums and trophies and awards, and then Most High is tearing that all apart. But that was that was looked at as success, and it tells you in Joshua 1:8 what the success is. True success is. Let me get that scripture right quick. So, and even when you have an emperor in it, and you have a successor, you can't be like a nation that's in captivity and talking about success as a nation because you supposed to succeed another nation. Succeed means to take the place of, so to speak. You shall find success, King James Version. I'm just paraphrasing. Joshua 1:8, it says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. Once you go from that, there's no more success. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Let me look up the word success right quick. Success definition. The accomplishment of an aim or purpose, the good outcome of an undertaking, Let me get the succeed word right quick. To take over a throne, inheritance, office, or other position from. So the so-called black people, Native Americans, and Latinos haven't taken over anything. That's what success is, to take over another nation, to be in their stead. A successor. So, they put out a false narrative, like the apostle elders always say, that you can succeed, but you can only succeed in a low state, based on when it's comparative to a whole nation, then you go into success with as an individual, and then that's a method of divide and conquer too. That's why when they do attack you, you could be successful, rich, and they do attack you, you don't have no, basically no support, no nation supporting you, no your people backing you, supporting you. to get you out of that predicament, out of that situation. So that's, so like I said, when you go to court, it's you against the state, you against, um, basically, you against the system, But anyway, it says Jews and Muslims were ordered to convert to Catholicism. 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 Well, I can't. Or leave. Or leave. So who were the Jews and the Muslims? It was us, because a lot of us were converting to Islam, converting to Muslims, which Muslim just means the worship of the Most High, pretty much. That's why they say Allah, which means power. That we say Allah, we say Shah, Kwam Yasha Allah, Yasha Allah. He is a Prince of Power. Allah is a Hebrew word. Kwam Yasha Allah means rise Israel. Even the Israelis, they don't use Israel as it should be used. I mean, they don't break down that they're the princes of power. They're just ruling as in a caveman type of style of rulership, because they don't really care about all they care about is dominance, controlling people, and if they get out of order, or some rebellion, they just bomb them or throw them in prison, whatever. They don't care about the dynamics of who the Israelites are, which is the Prince of Power, which is customs and laws. Now when you look up the Marranos, they're gonna say these are the people that follow Jewish and Torah and all that. I mean, but that. Torah and the Talmud or whatever. I think it's that definition, but it might be another one. But they, the so-called Jews claim they follow the Torah and the Talmud, which is basically the opposite of one the other. So how could they do that anyway? It says Muslims ordered to convert to or leave Castile, or face death. So they were getting murdered by these Catholics, Roman Catholics. They was getting murdered by the Roman Catholic. And then you had the Borgia family, a murder, first crime family, murdering, debauchery, all kind of wicked, perverse acts that they did. And, so you read about Serge Borgia. I think he had sex with his own sister and killed his mother. It's all kind of stuff. I mean, they got the movies out there, and they got a movie called Caligula, which is part of the 12 Feathers, and and they'll even do on Nero and all those. And it said the Inquisition was abolished in 1834 during the reign of Isabella II. So, that's what have me to think that she might have been a Jake woman, married to King Ferdinand, which was an Edomite. But I don't know. I'm just saying. But they, so far as they said in these what do you call them? These the pieces of these information, these different sites, and the articles, whatever. They say they were, so-called white people. Moors in Spain and North Africa, 700 A.D. Last strong was Granada, taken down 1492. Byzantine Empire, last empire was Constantine the 11th. Says, but Byzantine we ruled, and I showed you those images, those regions, and we're all over the place. Really, this Roman Empire was a great empire, but it wasn't the whole world. You know, so and that's why and one reason why they practice it in the form of America. You know, because if you really go back to the Holy Roman Empire, that was us during the time Byzantine Empire. They don't want really know anything threaded into, uh, anything that got to do with Negroes. We would, you could look up Black Britons, like I said, and we'll pop up there. They want all Edomite society ruling with us as slaves and these other nations as slaves, just like the motto after these other nations. And when they sought world power, it was a nation. It wasn't mingled, so-called mingled, or what they call America, a gumbo, where all races and all races unite and all that. It was none of that. When you know, going even back to Alexander Greek, he wanted Egypt. He wanted rule Greece and Egypt, and who were there? Israelites. He wanted them as slaves, servants, which they were. They would tax the land. You know, they would, sometimes let us practice, our customs, but the customs end up being mixed with the customs of the heathen, just like it is now. I mean, even us as Israelites, knowing we're Israelites, and doing the best to our bill, we still have to buy clothes from them, like it says in Deuteronomy. Go for your enemy to one of all things, food, shelter, clothing, so forth. So, you know, if somebody was, you know, practicing like the Israelite customs, hardcore, and it was that same kind of Jewish sect that's in the read in the New Testament. They be looking at us like, what? Why y'all got on them heathenistic clothing? Why y'all got heathen clothing on? You know, uh, just like today when they say we're your fringes, and it's more of a spiritual thing. But we can't, you can't live perfect in this land. And even though those who say they live perfect by the law, it's impossible. You just being on American soil, and walking these American streets is going off. You know, you being having to be under the so-called white man, you can't live the laws perfectly. So that's a lie. They're lying about that, and like a lot of other things. But yeah, um, and well, you could probably look up Celtics too. Let me see. Well, it's gonna say Black Celtic people. Gotta probably put up people. Yeah, Black and Irish. Those same Celtic come from, if I'm not mistaken, Sicily. Yeah, the Celtic, the Black Celts. Right, I'm gonna big it up. See, this information is here. Jake just don't like to look it up and read. It ain't like I'm just wisdom out and all that. I learn from apostles, teachers. I look up stuff, and this is the same information Jake is able to look up. Jake is just a lazy, for the most part, 2/3 side. Jake is just a lazy ass. He don't want to, you know. He's like, what will this do for my? Well, it exercises your mind to not being what you call it, a defeated. You won't be in a defeated state of mind, which that's why a lot of times reason why Jake be robbing and all that. But anyway, I just wanted to bring out some information to close out. You know, we know the scriptures about scattered abroad. You know, Sicily, King James Version, Acts 23, 28. That's not it. Acts 28 and 12, where it states, Paul and his companions landed in Syracuse, which is Sicily, after being shipwrecked on the island, essentially confirming that the biblical text refers to the island of Sicily. So, you have such thing as black Sicilians. Stream black Sicilians. They got a picture of them. Yes, here's a kind of older picture. Bertha Josephine Blue taught English to Italian immigrants. Look. Sicily woman, Jake, Afro and everything. So Paul wasn't a so-called white man. Neither were the Israelite so-called white people. There's another Sicilian. And we'll mix among the people, so some of them were of these other nations. But our people were considered Sicilians, and so forth with all these other nations when we lived in the land. You can look up Black Chinese and or Afro Chinese, and it'll pop up. Don't get it twisted, man. We the form of all things. We the original people. Like they paint a false telling you, here's a woman with a big fro, and it's not just because she got a fro. Our people, got all kind of hairstyles, but I'm just saying, she's most likely a Jake. But look in the face and some of the features, but her eyes look chinky, and that word chinky is a derogatory term for kinky. So they were calling certain Chinese people kinky. Look at those kinks, which chinks. Look at those chinks, which means kinks. The Chinese and Japanese with kinky hair. You might have brothers that look like this, straight Jakes. This is just a illustration. What I'm saying is racism in China. And they have a video. Here's a man. She got a booming fro. And Jake could just be attracted to her because she's pretty, but because of the fro. Like, oh man. And it would be considered somewhat exotic if you saw her. And now these are more of the original Chinese with dark skin too. This might be a Jake, I don't know, but they look more like this, even being the true Chinese. Because remember, Moab and Ammon came from Lot. They were the children of Lot, but they were cursed. She looked like she could be so-called mixed with Jake. So the seed is of your fathers, and that's what the land's supposed to be, of your fathers. So, but when you get kicked out of the land, you get, you get your people get, they say pillage the village. Your people get the women get ravished. They call it raped, and they end up having seed of the other nations. But you also had a lot of nation women. They loved Jake, and they was laying down with Jake. So you also have a lot of our people that are real truly Israelites looking like these other nations, man. But the same thing with being called Spanish, being called Portuguese people, or Roman people. But who are we? Israelites in Rome, Israelites in Spain, Israelites in Portugal, Israelites, same thing in China, Israelites in